Huh? What are you doing in my swamp?
Hello everybody, this is Overboy and I'm going to be doing my review for the 2003 remake of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This movie is directed by Marcus Nispel and written by Scott Kozer, and in this one, a group of friends are on their way back from Mexico with a bunch of weed that they're sneaking back home, and they pick up this hitchhiker on the way. They're in a rural town in Texas, and they are kind of losing their way of where they're going and stuff, and they pick up this hitchhiker that you can tell just from the get-go that there's something off about her and everything. You can tell she's been through some kind of traumatic experience, and she ends up killing herself. And when she does that, it just changes everything for them on their road trip. They're trying to figure out what to do, who to go to, and everything, what to do with the body, and they end up finding this house that is where Leatherface and his family lives. And kind of like within the original, they have a lot of stuff going on, they're getting killed off one by one and stuff, but they also have run-in with the sheriff, who's pretty much the father of the family. And this movie is a lot different than the original. It has like the same story in a way, but like the same storyline, but it's told in a whole new way, and I think it works really well. It's actually one of the best horror movie remakes of all time, and just one of the best remakes in general, personally, to me. I absolutely love this movie. The characters in here, although most of them are kind of forgettable, except for our final girl, Erin, who's played by Jessica Biel. She's great in here. The rest of the group of friends and stuff, most of them are just there to die, so they don't really have too much of a personality and stuff, but they're fine for their roles and everything. It's not a lot different than how the characters were written in the original. They didn't have a lot of personality either, but this one, at least, even though they didn't have a lot of character development and stuff, at least they did at least somewhat have a good personality, and a little bit of like certain things to them, but they're fine. And really the ones that shine, aside from Jessica Biel, are the villains of the movie, which are Leatherface and Sheriff Hoyt, and you see other members of the Hewitt family throughout this, which I thought was kind of interesting too, because it's pretty much this entire town is these cannibalistic family members of Leatherface and stuff. I like that. I like that was kind of a unique concept that they added in here and everything. I like that about it. And the first one was kind of like that, except it wasn't just like a whole community of this family. In the original, there was just the people that were there at the dinner table, which is the people that lived in the house in the original. I think that Sheriff Hoyt was really good in this. He's played by Arlie Ermy. He's a really good villain. Kind of an unlikable character, but he's a great villain, if that makes sense. And Arlie Ermy does a great job playing him, but I think he's actually even better in the next movie that I'll be talking about, which is a prequel to this one. But I think he is really good in here, just not quite as good as he is in the next one. And Andrew Baranowski plays Leatherface in this one, and he's one of the best Leatherface actors for sure. He's right up there with Gunnar Hansen as one of the best. He's brutal, he's fast, he's intimidating as heck, and I think out of all the Leatherfaces in the movies, him and Gunnar Hansen would be the two that I'd be the most scared of if I saw Leatherface coming towards me and everything. And I think I'd probably say that I'd be even more scared of this version, because he's just really brutal, and the gore and stuff is amped up in this movie, where the original one didn't really have a lot of gore. This one does, and I know that bothers a lot of people, but as somebody who loves gore, I found it as entertaining, and I enjoyed it. I do agree though with a lot of people that less is more. And everything. The first one is way more effective on creepiness, but as far as like fun watching, getting to watch the gore stuff, it's better in this one, I guess. But all in all, I really think the first movie is definitely the better movie of this one and the original, but out of the two. But this one is still a really entertaining movie. It does have some pacing issues too, like the movie's an hour and 38 minutes. I think they could have shaved off at least a good 8 to 10 minutes of it, and it would have been a little bit better just for pacing issues. And some of the stuff like at the beginning before they pick up the hitchhiker just wasn't quite as good. There's some kind of cheesy dialogue and stuff that you get from these early 2000s movies and stuff, and it's kind of weird how like in the original movie they just look like everyday people and stuff, and this movie they all look like Abercrombie and Fitch models. And I think that's just because it's Michael Bay who helped make this movie. It was from his company and stuff, and you know how Michael Bay is on his he has to have people that look like models and stuff in all of his movies. That was one of the big complaints I had with the Friday the 13th remake, and I kind of have it here too, even though I think Jessica Biel was amazing in here, and everything. The way they made her dress and stuff, she didn't really look like someone you would have seen in the time setting that this movie came out. They all kind of look like modern day people trying to be 70s-ish, if that makes sense. But all in all, I think the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake is a really good movie. It's a very decent remake. It's definitely not as good as the original, but it definitely is a very good one. I know there are people out there that would even say that this is their favorite in the franchise, and I can see it. It is a really good movie, and they even got Daniel Pearl back to do the cinematography. He did the cinematography in the original one, and that also helps with this movie. Like it's very beautifully made, has really great cinematography that's on par with the original. I will say that's one of the things I did love about this movie, is it still had, even though it didn't feel as dirty and grimy and stuff as that original one did, it still does in this one. Like still feels sweaty and gross after watching it. Just not quite. It's not quite as effective as it was in the original, but it still works really well. And his cinematography is amazing and everything. So, and Steve Jablonsky's score is also really good. So, but yeah, I really like this movie quite a bit. I think it's really great remake and everything. So I'd give it an 8 out of 10 and everything. So let me know in the comments what you think of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake from 2003, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and have a good day, everybody.